Guys, as always, just act like it's not right. Just have fun. Be yourselves. And you'll get, I kind of was a little bit slipped up from some commotion this week, but you will get last week's and this week's in one solid email. All right, so tonight we're going to work with 7. And 7 is associated to victory, the green dot here on the tree of life. And victory is assigned to the planet Venus. So we're back to planets. We're not doing a star. The planet Venus. What is special about the number 7? Any numerologists or anybody want to take a whirl at it? No? All right.
As much as I love numerology, 7 is the one number that kind of confuses me.
Right? It's okay. All right. Get your pens out, people. Okay. It's okay. I did the work for you. All right. There are 7 visible planets in the sky. Okay. Including the sun and the moon. The ancients called them the 7 heavenly bodies, or the 7 gods. They also recognize them as divine intelligences. Ergo, the 7-day week. So we got the 7-day week from the 7 heavenly bodies. In the Bible, God rested on the 7th day. Okay? And Venus is the only planet that is recognized in the Bible. So they call it the morning star. Because you can see it in the morning. It's the only planet in the Old Testament. So there's 7 tones in the musical scale correlated to the 7 planets. The musical scale was called the harmony of spheres. Now we're talking about Western music. In Eastern music, there's a completely different musical scale. Okay? So this is Western ideology. Okay?
They're called the what planet? The spheres?
The 7 heavenly spheres, or the, here, hang on.
The harmony of spheres.
The harmony of spheres, excuse me. Thank you, Terry. Oh, Robin. Oh, man. Rewind.
When we're muttering, you can't tell which one.
No. Okay. So, what's interesting is that in Spanish and French, the days of the week still line up with their with the planets. Yeah. Martes, Sábado. You know, if we went through it all, they still align with. Do you know them?
In French?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say it.
The days of the week. Days of the week?
Yeah.
Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche.
Yep. Perfect. So if we break it down, we can still piece out the planets inside of the days of the week and more Latin-based languages. You know, English kind of moved away from it because we had a lot of influence from German, all the different ethnic languages in the world. We're kind of the melting pot. So now let's talk about before we continue, 7 represents spirituality, tranquility. It can also represent isolation. And people that are 7s or 7 in general are great storytellers. And they have good instinct. They're healers and they're also psychics. So when somebody's like, oh, I'm a 7, they're like, oh, my numerology chart says I'm a 7. They're healers, good instincts, great storytellers. So now let's talk about the planet Venus. Venus loves the heavens. Venus loves the heavens. All right, we're going to move into a little bit of astrology now. Venus loves the heavens. Venus is associated with love, beauty, sensuality, peace, fertility, aesthetics, so Venus represents a connection between Mars, and Venus and Mars create sexual energy. Everyone knows that story, right? We all know the story. Venus and Mars hook up. All right. So, Venus, even though strives for the heavens, Venus can really like possessions, things. Likes to be beautiful. Venus likes to be beautiful, and to be beautiful, sometimes we need a little bit of gold. We need a little bit of makeup. You know, we need a nice shirt. Gotta look good, right? So, since Venus likes possessions, Venus can find comfort and security in material possessions, but Venus powers are also very good and like gardening. They like herbs. The sustenance of life. Those are the things that kind of sustain us in life. Venus is also on the quest for love, which is okay. Some of us need fulfillment in love, and that's okay. Venus is all about making connection and finding fulfillment in that connection. Venus is associated also with birth. So she's fertile, and if something's fertile, that means it's going to give birth if it's fertilized. You know, kind of the progression of things, right? Okay, cool. So Venus is striving for the heavens, so she's reaching for beauty, which is that halfway point to the upper part of the tree. So, as I said, Venus is associated with victory, and victory is achieving something, achieving connection, right? Victory is achievement. So now we're going to open it up, and I want to ask you guys, what's victory to you guys? You know, I kind of said it. What is it to me? What is it to you guys?
I feel like victory, it makes me think of like achieving a more specific goal.
Mm.
Like, rather than just like a general success, it's like there's something I wanted and then I got it.
Yeah. So maybe accomplishment? For sure. What else?
Celebration of the accomplishment.
Celebration. I like that. So, let's write this down. This is good stuff. Accomplishment. Celebration.
Victory also kind of implies that you vanquished a foe in a way.
Ooh.
If it's just an accomplishment, that's kind of freestanding, but victory to me almost means like there was some kind of opponent that you were successful against.
Like overcoming an adversary?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have to be a person, but some kind of adverse circumstance.
Mm-hmm. Overcoming adverse. Good. Kind of overcoming something that's in your way or on your path. Was somebody going to say something? No?
I think of group effort.
Group effort.
Because when I hear victory, I think of like my days when I was in sports.
For sure.
There was an opponent, and there was an end goal.
Good. That's
All
actually
work together.
group effort. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's it.
That's all?
Mhm.
So like a team group effort? All right. That makes sense. Venus loves connection. She loves making connections with others. So group effort. Nice. Good job. What else about victory?
Maybe kind of going along with what people are saying, it's sort of something that you've had to expel effort, expend effort as something fought for, like not, that something that didn't come entirely easily, perhaps. The ideas like adversity, achievement, accomplishment, but not facile. It took some effort, and thus the celebration.
Yeah. Not easy to overcome. Good. Path hindrance. I like that. So how do we obtain a victory?
Great challenge.
That's good. First, there has to be a challenge.
Through perseverance.
Perseverance. Can we just go and try to achieve a victory without making a plan? Even in sometimes, but even in the process of trying to get the victory, you're always kind of thinking like, well, what if I make this move? You know, like even as it's happening, like we can try to stay in the now as much as possible, but our minds always are kind of like, well, what's the next chess move? What's my opponent going to do? Kind of, right? Okay, so planning. Planning. Good. When we go into a challenge and we say we don't necessarily have to want to be put in the situation of the challenge, how do I phrase this in a very articulate way? That's a question. We're at work and we work for a banker, and to keep our job, we have to file all this paperwork. What is behind the need or want to keep our job?
Need for security.
Need.
Yeah.
Which is desire. 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 So need is desire. Desire. This is huge for Venus. Venus desires to have connection. She desires to be beautiful. She desires to want to grow a beautiful garden and enjoy her plants. So desire is huge for Venus. She desires to have others look at her, right? She likes being pretty for herself, but when we're pretty, we can attract more bees, right? Good. So desire. We also can obtain victory through instinct, which kind of is a desire, but more of like a natural desire. So Venus is associated with nature. So we have a natural desire, instinct. And emotion. If we have emotional charge behind stuff, it kind of pushes us to our goal a bit better. We all have emotional desire for love, emotional desire to understand practical reasons for the tarot. We don't want to feel like we're bored or be like, what is this tarot stuff? We have to have a desire to want to understand, an emotional drive. So Desire pushes evolution. Does that make any sense? Desire pushes evolution. If we are, let's even go back to like a nature sense. In nature, plants desire to live. They desire to grow a flower and spread their seeds. If they get exposed to a toxic chemical, they are still going to desire to live. And they have to evolve around the change in the soil. So desire pushes evolution forward. So, what's behind desire? Look at the pattern on the trestle board. It's the secret's in there. Who can crack the code? Go to number 7. So we're working with number 7 today. What drives desire? Good job, Bailey. Golden star. Will. Will drives desire. Very good. Will drives desire. We have to will to want to desire. If we don't will, if the plant doesn't will to live, it won't have the desire to evolve. See how it kind of all lines up? Will drives everything. Will drives that evolution. Excellent. So, we're coming down the tree, and we pass the middle, so we're almost to the bottom. And in this part of the tree, in the lower half, it's called the plane of illusion and incarnation. So we're getting closer to Earth. The spirit is passing through all the colors and the spheres. And now the spirit's a little diluted. So it's a little bit illusion. Has some illusion attached to it.
What's the term at the bottom? What is the name in there? What is that called?
This sphere or the very bottom? Oh, Malkuth, okay. Which means Earth, the kingdom.
That's what it says in there?
Oh, this says the kingdom. Yeah, okay. Kingdom.
Okay.
So it's coming down to Earth. Earth is the kingdom. We're here. And so the pure life force, or whatever you want to call it, starts to get kind of diluted and a little bit of illusion now. You know, things aren't always the way they seem here. So in this sphere is used for the worship of gods. Remember how I said Venus likes material things? Some people that, a lot of cultures, they will make a statue of a god. And that's a material possession. And it represents a god. So they, Kabbalists or, people that study tarot and Kabbalah associate this with all the god forms. We want to have victory with our gods. We want to make connection with our God. That's that Venusian energy. Trying to desire a connection with the God form. And they use art. Terry, they use art. They make sculptures. They make a relic. They make a clay pot and they paint the God form that they want to invoke on it. And then they go break the pot to try to, even get it further into our brain. Whatever they do. Whatever people do, even people do it nowadays. We make a piece of art. Right, Gracie? We make a piece of art of Venus, or what we think Venus would look like, or, the colors. We use art to invoke energy, emotion. It's all kind of lining up, huh? All right. So Venus invokes feeling. And Power and inertia comes from desire. If we don't desire or will something, there's no power or inertia behind it. That's what drives us forward. That's what's evolving us, is that will, that desire. Whether it's a new job or a new school path or wanting to get away from somebody evil that's just embarrassing the heck out of us in a public area, we desire and will to get away from that person.
Someone can hear his story, that his experiences.
Yeah.
That was him talking about that.
Yeah. So it pushes us forward. Desire, and you know what else pushes us forward? Beauty. And love pushes us forward. Beauty and love. Venusian energy. So, we talked about victory maybe like 5 minutes ago, and we all said accomplishment, team effort, achievement, celebration. And so victory implies firmness. Victory is firm. The knight won the battle. He had a victory. And this is cemented in the ground. The Vikings have been defeated. Right? Okay. So, solidity. Firmness. It's solid. Bink, bink. We're getting closer to Earth. We're getting closer to Earth. It's becoming more solid, guys. All right. Venus powers and victory powers also have to do with, especially Venus, has to do with understanding of opposites. So to have a victory, there kind of has to be an adversary. Somebody said adversary. You know, there's something's in the way to have a victory. Or, you know, we have to cross a boundary and then we won. So there's an opposing force, understanding what is against you. Okay? Venus rules Libra. Venus rules Libra. Okay, Libra is the balancing scale. Libra is making decision. Sometimes it's hard for them, but they usually make one, and it's okay. We all have our choices we have to make. So Venus helps Libra. Venus helps Libra make the connection through beauty and love. Through beauty and love. Okay? So we balance our emotions and our intellect. Balancing our emotions and intellect. Can anybody think of a situation where we have to balance emotions and intellect?
Any interaction with another human being, really.
Amy hit it right. Amy hit it right on the head. We don't want to think too much with our emotions because we'll give all of our money to the homeless guy. Like, oh, that poor guy. So you have to kind of use our intellect to be like, well, I need to keep some money for my groceries today, right?
I have an example. When I was moving out of the apartment with my ex-girlfriend and she was screaming at me, but I wanted to keep a good relationship with the landlord.
Perfect. Perfect. Right, so you call the Right, so what did you do?
That was very nice.
What did you say to the landlord?
I said, I'm so sorry about any disturbances.
So sorry about the disturbances. She's out of it today, but we're still cool, right?
It was all in front of a camera.
Perfect. That's a really good example. Intellect and emotion. Try to balance that out. So, what are some downsides to desire?
Addiction.
Good one.
Obsession.
Obsession. Good.
Bad decisions.
Good. You guys are on a roll. What else? Oh, beautiful. What else?
All the 7 deadly sins. Gluttony.
7.
Oh,
There's several.
lust. Gluttony. Oh, I can never think of all of them. Sloth is sloth. Envy, greed. It's a little more hard to differentiate. Look it up. Greed. Lust. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is it called something else? I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, it's hard to get all 7 of them.
No, this is good. These are good examples. Who else?
Nothing. I just thought it was funny that some are missing. Might be the ones that you might be doing and don't even know.
Yeah. Pride.
Those.
Gluttony, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth.
Yeah.
7
Those can be downsides. They all kind of have a bit of ill desire behind all of them. Yeah. Negatively charged desire. And all of those things are distractions. So desire can distract us from our path. Desire can be a major distraction. So we had addiction, obsession, bad decisions, lust, the 7 deadly sins. Those are all extremely negative distractions. Therefore, Venus can blind us. Venus can blind us. That's her downside. She's very beautiful, but it can blind us with the beauty and the sparkles and the glitter and the garden. It can be a little distracting. Love is blind. Therefore, love is blind. Sometimes the person we're in love with is not necessarily the right fit. I'm sure we've all been in that situation.
I just realized, because we were talking about art, but I realized I have a drawing that represents everything that we're talking about. Maybe I could share it.
Yeah, we would love to see it. We would love that.
Is that what your website is, Gracie? Is it art? Your art?
Yeah, it's mostly my art. It's
Cool.
a lot of poetry, too.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice. Okay. I like that one so okay.
So we can also have spiritual desire. What other kind of so what kind of desires do we have in life? Let's make it a little personal.
I just want to add, I keep hearing the name Medusa.
Medusa.
She, is blinded in a way, and people have a desire to look at her. And I don't know, that's true. For some reason, I feel like she's part of this whole seven.
How many snakes did she have in her hair?
I don't know.
Somebody want to look that up?
So if you ever count.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How appropriate. I love it. Obviously, I love Venus, guys. It's one of my favorite planets. So, how about we talk about some tarot? And
1,000 snakes.
1,000.
Yeah.
That's kind of far from 7. Oh, I forgot to say 7 is the last number you can't break down. So it's 1, well, to a whole number. 1, 3, 5, and 7. 7 is the last number you can't break down. It's probably why they call it the perfect number. You know, a number of perfection. All right, so let's keep in mind all of these powers of Venus while we look at the tarot cards. Like all the powers of victory, all the powers of Venus, it's the same thing. So the Seven of Wands is associated to valor. Its overarching word is going to be valor. So we're looking at the Seven of Wands. The astrological association with the Seven of Wands is Mars in Leo. So Mars rules the Leo. Mars has a big influence over Leo. They're both fire powers. Okay? Mars in Leo, we have expansive, showy attitude. Yeah. Mars in Leo is very comfortable at taking the lead and asserting their passions.
Say that again.
Yeah, they love taking the lead and asserting their passions and standing their ground. They're assertive. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. The combination represents reproductive allure past the sexual sense and into the realms of reproducing the mind and spirit in others. So I can say that again for you. This is an original interpretation. All of these astrology interpretations are original. The combination represents reproductive allure. So we have that showy, Venus likes to be a little bit of, oh, look at my ring. Look at my hair. So it's showy. The combination represents reproductive allure past the sexual sense and into the realms of reproducing the mind and spirit in others. So we talked about a couple weeks ago, reproduction is more than just reproducing via sexually. It's reproducing your thoughts in others. So politicians take advantage of this power and they try to reproduce their ideals into us. They try to get you to think the way that they think. That's reproductive energy at its base. That's just that's what reproductive energy is. Yeah, sex, yeah, a tree dropping seeds is reproducing, but you can reproduce the mind and spirit in others. That's what the Christian church did. They reproduced all of the pagans into Christians when they went along the Crusades and took over the world. They were reproducing Christianity in others. So it's an intellectual power, not just a physical one, and a spiritual power.
It's funny because they call it a born again Christian.
There we go. We're playing with the language. Born again Christian. Perfect. So, what is a downside of this combination? What's a downside of a Christian trying to make you convert? What's a downside to that? Dogmatic. Bully. Yeah, dogmatic. Bullying. Bullish. They can also create others to be portrayed as Nimrodic. They try to make the other person look like a Nimrod. Literally. They'll be like, look at this guy. He's like, worshiping all these gods and he's stupid.
This is exactly my friend. One of my friends I have, his name is George, and whenever I talk to him, it's always trying to convert me to whatever he's thinking, changing whatever. It's just crazy like that, and he's very much like that too. So that's it.
Does he try to make others look like kind of
Very political. Yeah, with his thoughts and quick mind, he's just like knocks everything down. Makes everybody feel like what's
judgmental?
What except for him.
Yeah. Is he kind of judgmental? Quick to make judgments about others? Yep. Sounds like it. Sounds like the type.
I read a quote earlier this week that said something like, those who are judgmental lack curiosity.
gonna get a little Buddhist here. I love Buddhism. That's where it all started on my spiritual path. When we make judgments, it impedes flow. And in Western society, when you make a judgment, it represents the ending of something. In the Buddhist path, there's no ending. The only ending is death. So when we make a judgment about something, it impedes the flow, the movement of how things operate, how things move forward.
It redirects it.
Redirects it, which cuts off opportunity sometimes. So always kind of like, don't put all of your eggs in one basket about a situation. You know, what's a good example of something where it's like we had to make a choice, but we still kind of kept a couple of eggs in that basket? Does anybody have a good example? Stocks. Good. You don't want to put all your money in one thing. Good example. Or say we're leaving a job. I'm going to give this guy my 2 weeks just in case I have to come back. Right? Leave on a good note. If we just quit, we're not going to be able to come back. But if we put our 2 weeks in, they might consider us having us come back. Guilty. Guilty. It's okay. We all make mistakes. All right. So bullish. Yeah, we'll move on from that. So what is valor, guys? What is valor? You can look at the image, kind of get a couple of clues. We're looking at the 7 of Wands. What's valor?
Standing up to your opponents.
Good. Exactly. Practical application. Mitch. Having strength. Having strength in what you believe. What else? What else is valor? It's a very old word. I'm not surprised.
It's not actually the same thing, but there's an element of courage in valor.
Good. That's written down here. Perfect. There is. There is. So valor is kind of an old word. It actually died off like the last 100 years. Okay. Past 100 years, we haven't been using valor that much. It's so interesting. Google has a graph, like if you ever search a word, it will show you how much a word has been used the past 100 years. And it is very interesting. In the 1800s, valor was like way up here. It was used all the time. And right when it hit 1900, it started to it was like an exponential dive down. It was like, shh. So it's a dying word in the English language, okay? And it's spiritual and mental fortitude to withstand temptation of sin or sin from others. So it matches up really nicely with the 7 deadly sins, the distraction of our desires. So we have to be strong and stand our ground when we have that temptation.
It makes me wonder, like, if the term valor died off at the beginning of the 20th century, it makes me wonder if the actual expression of valor has died off too. Not just the word. That people don't show spiritual and emotional fortitude as much as they did a century ago.
That's interesting
I don't know
because
whether that's true, but it's kind of interesting.
that's when industrialization really started to take hold. That's when everybody started working in factories and the boss just wanted all the money. Wars. That's when things really started to change for humanity, like late 1800s, early 1900s. That's an interesting observation. Good.
I feel like the wars in the past 100 years have been more political and less about we're defending our property kind of thing. So a little bit more distant, and why are we fighting for that? And that might have.
Yeah. These are good connections we're making.
Well, valor was really big in the Civil War. That was a really big time for valor on both sides. And I think also something else that I was thinking of historically that made me think of valor. The Civil War is amazing. Oh, men used to duel. Over their, honor and valor, and like it was just like that was like a, an understood part of high society or civility. The throw down the glove, the duello. People stopped doing that. You offended my honor. Now we have to shoot each other. Now people just don't even bother with the duel part. They just pull a gun out of their glove box. So. I hadn't thought about that.
It's almost like, I don't want to call valor a virtue, but it's almost like a passing personality type, stature of personality.
It could be a virtue, but it's also could be really a fault. I mean, in the Civil War, I think it was a fault. It was a terrible fault.
Oh, for sure.
That the Southerners thought they were defending their valor and they were going to be successful in 3 weeks because society was offended.
Yeah. Oh, man, language and history. So interesting. So, how is valor represented in the card, guys?
He's kind of above the other sticks. So he has a higher one.
Yes. Good observation. That's actually very good. What else?
I didn't really understand the point about why he was wearing 2 different shoes.
Yeah, she didn't really talk about that too much, did she?
She mentioned that it was the only card where someone was wearing 2 shoes, but she didn't say why.
That's true. Why do you guys think that?
I thought it's supposed to be kind of an unstable ground.
Mm-hmm. Murky waters.
Yeah. Holding down desire.
Holding down desire. I like that.
But on rocky ground.
And plus, it has a sense maybe that the person's been a little outcasted, and so maybe he wasn't allowed to come into town to buy everything, whether it's having his job to be able to afford the shoes. It's kind of like he's getting by with what he has and showing up, It has that sense of an outcast from this direction.
You guys are hitting all the great points. I have courage as an outcast literally written down in the pre-notes. You guys are nailing it tonight. Good. It's probably because the first part was so organized. I think this was one of the best organized pre-lectures I've had in a while. Excellent. So the man is standing on a murky, secluded piece of land with 6 others attacking him. The strength of spirit and mind is his only hope of survival, being strong in danger, having courage as an outcast.
And how about, what if people aren't holding those and he's just kind of there by himself? And so he's kind of fighting against his own passions and own desires.
That actually is going to sync up really well with the cups. Hang on to that idea.
Yeah.
Hang on to that. That's good, actually. Good job. So let's think about outcast for a second. Amy was kind of hitting it on the head there. So if an outcast You ever seen like the guy walking around downtown and he just like, you know, he's kind of outcastish and he's not begging for money, but you know, he's got like ripped up jeans and he's got a jean jacket on. It's got all the patches on it. He's like, you know, he's got 2 separate shoes on, and you know, he's wearing some eyeliner, and all the Ann Arborites are kind of looking at him like, okay, all right, man. Maybe that's what the 2 shoes indicate. Outcast.
Well, I just looked online, it means a disregard for social norms. There's actually something called National 2 Different Colored Shoes Day, which means you accept being different, unique, and a little bit quirky. I never thought of wearing 2 different shoes. I wear 2 different socks all the time. I never thought of wearing 2 different shoes. Camper makes me never like it.
Good, mess up your back.
If they were similar shoes, it would be okay, but if they were really different, one of the big yellow, one of that would not be good.
Maybe when you go running, one fluorescent green and pink.
Yeah.
So people will get just different shoes.
So go ahead.
I think it like just symbolizes like rebelling against social norms and like expressing his aesthetics. You know?
Good. Back to that Venusian energy, the Venus energy. Good. Aesthetics. Expression of aesthetic. I love it.
And he's also wearing that green, symbolic of the heart chakra, just in general. So it just could be standing up for.
Good. And we're here at the green sphere, the Venus sphere, green. Perfect. Does anybody have anything else they want to say before I lay down my interpretation? All right. He's outcasted from the six other wands. He wears indifferent shoes, indicating the path he walks is that of an unconventional sense of life, leading him to have many enemies, as he is the leader of only himself. And in a book, they mention a very old-fashioned word. You ready for this? A yeoman. Y-E-O-M-A-N. And it's like in between like a villager and a noble. And they own a very small piece of land. And they cultivate that land. And so they were kind of like respected for who they were, but they hadn't reached like nobility. So they're kind of like an outcast of the village and also nobility. So they're like kind of isolated on like this like small piece of land. So in a tarot book, I forgot which one it was. But yeah, they mentioned that word. I'm like, what is this old-fashioned word? And so it brought me to that, or you know, brought the information to that. So kind of like a cultivator of the land or an honored servant. You know, if you're an honored servant, you're not in the nobility, and the village definitely doesn't like you because you're a servant to the guy, man. All right. So yeoman. And he's standing his ground because he's an outcast wherever he turns. All right, so divination. What could be some divination? Think about the talks we just had.
To battle through something.
Good. Battle through adversity.
A challenge where you have to stand up for your position and maybe you have to stand alone.
Perfect.
Strength of mind.
Perfect. These are all practical things, Mitch. This is all practical. It's a very practical day. I tried to focus the discussion and the lecture today around your practical application of the tarot. Just so you know, it actually helped me get better at presenting the information. So thank you. What else, guys?
I would also think that that person's thoughts are very strong and solid, and then the others that are sticks, there's only a partial sticks coming in, so it's just maybe their points aren't as strong as your point.
Good. The higher ground aspect, the fortitude, strength, perfect. What else, guys? You guys are nailing it. How about a strong stature while the world is against your path? Your mom and dad are like, you're not gonna go to college for psychology. You're gonna become a doctor. The world's against you. Dang it, mom and dad. I just wanted you to believe in me. You're not gonna be an English major. You're gonna do business. Right?
Also looks like maybe he's ready to put that desire down or to add it to the staffs there on the ground. So in position of putting it down, so he can kind of look at all the desires that are before him too. So it could come in from that angle rather than at first glance, yeah, it looks like maybe he's fighting, but he's also in the position that maybe he's ready to place it down and then succeed in all before him. So depending on what the action's happening.
Good. We're about to move into the cups. Keep hanging on to it, Amy. Keep holding that space for those multiple desires. Hang on to it. Yeah, it could be other desires trying to get in, peace in there. All right, you guys hit it on the head. Holding your ground, success, victory through valor and courage, mental and spiritual fortitude on an unconventional path. All of you guys already know this card. This card's, you guys wrapped it up. Good job. Let's move on to the cups. 7 of Cups. So let's keep all of our discussion in mind as we work through these cards, okay? So, 7 of Cups is illusionary success. Illusionary success. And it's Venus in Scorpio. So, does anybody have anything they want to say about Venus and Scorpio?
Doesn't sound good.
Huh?
It doesn't sound good.
So is my ex-girlfriend.
Venus and Scorpio is a rough combination. No, it's a very rough combination. Venus does not do well in Scorpio. And we're going to see why. Venus and Scorpio, so Venus likes connection. Scorpio is about secrets. So Venus and Scorpio makes it hard for Venus to make the connections. So the secrets are debilitating true and honest connection. But Venus can see the beauty in the unknown. There is beauty in the unknown. There's beauty in the unknown. But it keeps her back. Just like, dang it, I'm not going to make connections with everything. I can't love everything, but it's beautiful. The beautiful lost love of Venus is in Scorpio. So, there's choice beyond attaining that choice due to Scorpio being oversaturated. Okay, choice beyond attainment due to occult oversaturation of options. So because there's so many options, it's hard to see them all. Occult means hidden. Doesn't mean like you're in a cult. Occult, it means hidden knowledge. If there's a lot of different hidden knowledge, it means it's difficult sometimes to make a choice between it all, right? Like, well, am I going to go down this path and figure out this thing? Or am I going to go down this path and figure out this thing? So it makes it hard for her to make her choice. There's a lot
Is
of,
that like paralysis by analysis?
yeah, overthinking.
Yeah.
Venus in Scorpio it makes it difficult for Venus because she's overthinking her connections. Perfect. Thank you. That wrapped it up. Paralysis by analysis. Too many choices. Venus in Scorpio, it's too many choices for Venus. Now, a person that has Venus in Scorpio, or just the energy in general, the alignment of the planet with the astrological combination of stars, there's sexual options, which could create an abundance of secrecy and deception. So if we have a lot of sexual options, sometimes we gotta walk on eggs around all of our partners and be like, oh, I can't make sure John knows about Jim. Oh my goodness, you know? Makes it hard for Venus. But as we said, Venus sees the beauty in all things. Venus is obviously one of my favorite planets. Okay? Venus sees the beauty in all things. But because it's in Scorpio, it's hollow due to indecisiveness. So she'll say it's beautiful and pretty, but she won't always know why and give you an honest answer. But she'll just say it's pretty. So Venus is very positive in the Scorpio, even though it's difficult for her. But she still has interest in the hidden science. She'll stick with it if that's where she's at. Right? We're going to stick with it. Stick with the occult sciences, even though sometimes it's hard. Okay, so what is illusionary success?
Looks like you've achieved something that you might not have.
Good. Looks like we've achieved something but might not have. What else?
When I was thinking of Venus and Scorpion, I was thinking how the Scorpion just goes like that. And so it kind of like shows it to you real quick and then brings it back.
Kind of like a flash drive of an experience.
Yeah.
Also sort of reminds me of nature and natural elements of Venusian energy because, at least for me, I feel in some ways that a lot of what is in nature is instinctive, just instinct, and in a way that isn't the same as planned aim where you achieve a goal. And so it's really not success. Only like a human or a sentient being could look at that and think, oh, they are succeeding. But the creature that was doing the action probably isn't. So, I don't know. It's not a real attainable success.
Like an instinctive success?
Yeah. In nature, like, there's some of that, I guess. Because it's not planned out, it's just instinctive or repetitive. At least in such a cycle. You know, I sort of think about it this way, at least. It's not like nature takes, as far as I'm aware, that it doesn't take that much pleasure in the seasons. You know, it's not like, oh, okay, great, it's springtime and everything's blossoming. But humans do, and they think it's a great achievement that they got through the winter time and stuff. But I don't know if animals or the plants actually care that much.
Instinctive success.
No, I'm trying to say that the illusion is in the fact that it's purely instinctive, and it's not at the same level as outside of the state of nature where a human could succeed in a different way, then they might project that same idea of success onto nature.
Yeah, that's good.
Like a tree surviving winter. Is that what you're saying? Like the nature wise? nights and look, it's like completely dead, but then it comes right back.
Or just like unplanned.
Yeah. Well, I think what I'm trying to say is that the tree itself, the tree, the being that is going through those cycles and those obvious changes, more than likely, at least, isn't thinking that it's a big success to go into spring. But sentient or conscious people, like human beings, are the ones who go and see that as a success, and so it's a different kind of success.
I feel like I get what you're saying, and I think maybe a way to have an example of that in humans is thinking like if someone is working like paycheck to paycheck or whatever, and they've been doing that for so long, every time they get their paycheck, it's not like, oh, I got the money. It's like, all right, here we go again. Like I have enough for the week, whatever.
So, kind of like what you're saying, Mitch, is like pattern success, like patterns rather than actually having achieved something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
It's a little bit the idea that a fish doesn't recognize it's in water. Isn't that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Awareness or not being aware.
They're just doing it. I mean, it is like the person who's working paycheck to paycheck.
It's like just doing what you got to do. It doesn't feel as much like a success. You look at it that way.
I like that. Amy said something really interesting. Lack of awareness. Lack of awareness. That was good.
And to add to that, I think to me this card is like the person is focusing on the wrong things. You know, like success could be getting all those things, but it's sort of like trading spiritual knowledge for material gain. You know, like someone whose goal in life is to buy more cars or something like that. Where's that? You know, like what's the substance of it? Or a lot of that, like the hungry ghost that runs after accumulating a lot of things.
Taylor.
I think about the story of Faust. Do you know that story?
No, please do tell.
So Faust was this character who was a scholar and he became bored with his life and he makes a deal with the devil. Mephistopheles to have all this stuff, but it courses the wrong direction. It's all an illusion of what success means in the world.
That's good.
Faust was the name of my dead cat.
Really? You called it Faust?
Yeah. His first name was Lucky.
Lucky Faust?
And then, yeah.
Did you know the story of Faust?
No.
It's a good name.
So.
Yeah, to me, this is like the person who's mesmerized by the glitter, you know.
Venus with her glitter and her jewelry, wanting to be attractive. Perfect.
For chasing the wrong goals.
Chasing the wrong.
That's how I would define it, is the person needs to look at what they're setting as their goals.
Perfect. See, we're nailing it on the head today. The Venus energy really is shining through in these cards.
I feel like the word success just is an illusion, you know? Like whenever I hear the word success, for some reason I like get upset. Just because I see this visual in my head of like a person looking at like a block and being like, when I get there, I'll be happy. And then like they're inside the block and they see a pyramid, like when I get there, I'll be happy. And then they're at the pyramid. And it's just like an endless loop. And so when people are like, I did the thing, I'm successful now. It's like, I just feel weird. Like, I'm happy for you. I don't know. Good luck with that.
It brings stuff forward though, you know.
Right, yeah. It feels stagnant to me when people claim success. That worries me, I guess.
Right. There's always that next mountain to climb.
Which is a good thing.
Right. You're never done climbing the mountain, I think is what she's saying.
Yeah.
You're never done climbing the mountain.
Just like when people see success as sort of an end point. Like now that I have this, I've got it. Whereas it could go away or you might need something else.
Sure, yeah.
Good. We're really thinking critically about this card, guys. I love it. You guys ever been in a situation that seems too good to be true? That's, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask a different question.
Oh no, ask the question. That's illusionary success. Too good to be true. Go ahead.
Do you know the meaning of the symbol in the middle? Top middle? This is like a person under a shroud with all the light around it.
Very good. Yes, we can move on to that question, Terry. That's actually question number 2. What is that? What is that figure in the cloud?
It's not a resurrected form.
A resurrected what?
Form, like a person who's rising up from some demise. I don't know, it reminds me of the judgment part a little bit.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, their hands are sticking out. It's hard to see it. But you're right, it's like a person with their hands out like this under a cloth. Like they're rising from the dead.
Mm-hmm. So, you guys ever heard of a jinn? The jinn?
Is it a genie?
Yeah, except an evil one. Now, it's in my interpretation, it's a djinn or a jinn, or how do you say it?
It's just jinn.
Jinn. It's a jinn.
How do you spell it? Is it
D-J-I-N.
D-J-I-N. And in Arab culture, or Middle Eastern culture, you ask the genie for the good stuff, and you ask the jinn for the stuff that might not be so moral. Like 1,000 women, or 1,000 beautiful men, or gold and a chariot, and very earthly based things. Everything that we see in the cloud. Everything that we see in the cloud. The jewels, the castle, the beautiful person in the upper left-hand corner, control over a dragon-looking thing, the wreath representing an abundance of garden, an abundance of natural possessions. It's a jinn. That's at least what I think.
And maybe hidden emotions, since it's on a cup of emotions or whatever. And it's kind of like their hidden emotions, since they're there, and kind of like over top of them.
That's good. You're kind of relating it back to what's illusionary success, and that's fun. That's good that you mentioned that. Illusionary success, falsified emotion or false emotional connection. You ever meet like a really fake person? You're like, this is just like not. This doesn't feel right. It just feels fake. Like that's an illusionary success. Like he says he's my friend, but it doesn't really feel like it. Good. Going back a question, but it's all good. So go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, I was trying to look it up because I have this like a garden statue that's a Mary, the mother of Jesus, is standing like that, and it seems to me that it maybe is covered over, like there's a shroud over it, so it's like the opposite of what that would represent.
Terry, my interpretation of a jinn deviated from the traditional one. So traditionally, guys, sometimes I give you original interpretations, guys. You gotta watch out for me. See, Terry's kind of keeping me on my toes. No, it's actually, so originally, so it's the holy guardian angel covered. In a lot of tarot books that were written like 100 years ago, they say that the figure is the holy guardian angel covered. Now it's covered because you're not supposed to ask your holy guardian angel for earthly possessions.
There's also red around it, kind of like a red oil, which I think associate with anger or negative, definitely not the color you want to evoke.
Right. Now, if we look very, very critically with our astute eyes, what is that thing on the cup of the wreath?
skull.
It's a skull. Very good. It's a skull. Why would our holy guardian angel do that to us? Because we're asking for the wrong things. We're not asking for love. We're asking for the innocent maiden. We're not asking for divine grace. We're asking for gold. So you get a skull.
Well, also possessions and age kind of like go together. It's like when I'm 16, I got the hottest car. By the time I'm in my mid-20s, I'm gonna have my own house. And like even I think Nike's old quote was he who dies with the most toys wins. Basically implying like you should consume as much as you can as you get older and get more wealthy.
Yes. That is a huge part of Western culture, actually. Mitch, practical application for you. Only ask your spiritual self for things that don't have to do with material realm. Did you want to say something?
I had kind of a smart aleck spin on the glowing thing. To me, it looks like a glowing mushroom with hands. When you get to think about it, that kind of implies psychedelics, which can give you the illusion of getting to a spiritual enlightenment place that might not be genuine.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a beautiful interpretation. Yes. Psychedelics give you a false sense of identity and security and make you see things and interpret things that aren't necessarily true. I love that interpretation.
I also think that sometimes, like the psychedelic could take people to seeing things that may be true, but their minds aren't ready to see it yet. So how they interpret it, they aren't ready for sometimes. But then it can take their minds further and further out to experience. Just might drive them crazy because they don't understand what they're seeing. Doesn't mean that it isn't true. That's my knowing from those kind of things.
That's good. Never really thought about it being a mushroom. I love that.
It was a smart aleck thought, and I'm like, that's kind of got some meat to it, though.
No, it does. There's some girth behind that one for sure. Huh. Psychedelics are kind of like our covered holy and guardian angel anyway. You don't see its true self, but it's there, but it's like it's not real. It's like not the true holy guardian angel. It is cheating. Very much so. It is cheating. So I will be honest with you guys, I've done a lot of psychedelics in my early 20s, which is why I'm in the position I'm in now. And I thought I was so spiritually woke. I thought I was hanging out with God, and I was telling all my friends, I was like, guys, you gotta do these drugs with me. You gotta do these drugs with me. And they're all like, Nick, you're just so clouded, man. Like, what is going on? And then I started doing mindfulness meditation. I was like, I'm not going to do these drugs anymore. And I had way better experiences with meditating, lighting an incense and a candle, and putting tarot cards in front of me. This was like 2 or 3 years ago now. Look where we are. We have a group that meets once a week, and we all have beautiful, shining faces. We all like each other and like each other's insights. No drugs or alcohol necessary. Only everybody could see.
Just caffeine.
Just caffeine. Cheers. No, caffeine gets the mind going. That is one thing that's nice about the subtleties of caffeine, is it can create connections and, kind of like make you think. There's something nice about caffeine. All right, cool. So one last question. This is the most saturated. I don't have this many questions for the other cards, guys. I'm sorry. Why would the Jinn or the covered holy guardian angel, we'll say a covered holy guardian angel. Why would they be presenting these options for the Venus and Scorpio?
I feel like especially since it's in the middle, it's almost a sense of temptation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is a sense of temptation.
To learn a lesson of some sort.
Lesson. It's funny, I said to find true desire, love, or to test. Temptation is a test. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Watch out for tests from the above, Mitch. That's the practical application. See, we're gonna keep doing the practical applications from now on. Watch out for the tests, Mitch. They will be there.
When you were talking before about the late 1800s, the turn of the century, the one thing to me that, of course, came up is that that's when film was invented in 1860, late 1860s. And there's nothing that's more potent in terms of its creation of illusion. That this whole idea of desiring, that's what that whole meeting is about. It's about desiring what you see on the screen, which is all just an illusion.
Go ahead. No, please, Mitch. I'd rather.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Earlier, when I was looking at this part, having just begun to discuss it, I sort of that thought popped into my head too, where it is like film, kind of, because you desire those people, but they aren't there, so it's almost more like acceptable or something.
It almost does look like the character in the foreground is watching film, if you look at it a certain way. Really, because they're in shadow. Yeah, they're in shadow, like an audience would be in a theater. It's kind of interesting.
Advertisement. You guys ever see a really great advertisement and you go to buy that thing or somebody buys it for you and you're like, this is not what it was like in the commercial? Or in the early 1900s, they'd make the smoker look all sexy. They'd be like, this is good for your health. And then they'd have the doctor smoking the cigarette, you know? Advertisement, that's an illusion.
The worst of that was when we were kids, they would advertise toys. And it looked so great, and then you'd get it, it was like a piece of crap. Like a little plastic nothing.
Even in the 90s and the early 2000s, same thing.
I thought you were going to say something about some. Yeah, you guys can't imagine the dangerous toys that we had when we were kids. That it was way before they had rules about stuff. We had some toys that are so, like, they would make you laugh if we told you about how dangerous they were. And our parents just let us play with them with like no adult supervision. I don't mean us personally, I mean just kids in general.
What would they have?
Oh my God, we had this thing called creepy crawlers, which was, it came with a plastic goo that you squirted in. It had a little heating element, and there was a tin that got burning hot, and you put this like gel stuff in it, would heat up, and then you would take this metal thing. I mean, these were the kids that were like 7 and 8 years old. You'd take this metal thing, and you'd move from the heating element, dump it in water so that it would cool off and make plastic. That was little rubber. They would make little rubber toys. Yeah, this other one called the vacuum form, which you would take a sheet of plastic, stretch it across this thing that you clamped it into, and then it would get really hot. These things all got really hot. It would get really hot. You flip it over, and then there was a vacuum pump on the other side, and you would pump it, and it would suck this liquid plastic down into a shape, and then you could open it up and like take it out and make it into shape things.
What?
Not to mention all the things we had, like a lollipop maker where you took corn syrup and melted it. I mean, it's just like our parents wouldn't let those kids 100 feet near those things today.
That's wild.
It was crazy. That was like in the, like the 60s. We had crazy toys.
That's like, go ahead.
I don't know, that's a really aside, but.
I was just thinking about the cigarettes, like my dad because when his mom was pregnant with him, my grandma was pregnant with him, and my dad, she broke her foot, and the doctor prescribed her cigarettes so that she didn't get like overweight, or she didn't gain weight because she
Nice.
couldn't walk while she was pregnant.
Nice. Yeah.
That's like giving the kids the chemistry sets.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I think I've read about in the past they had a chemistry set or something that was like, it had to do with being small amounts of radioactivity. I just thought that is the child.
We had those.
Yeah.
Chemistry sets, we had all kinds of crazy stuff. Lots of heating elements.
Now they give them microscopes instead of chemistry sets. In the 60s, you'd get a whole bunch of chemicals, now you get a microscope.
I don't know how we got on that subject, but it was pretty, we had a lot of conversations about, we really laughed about it, that we're surprised that any of us survived childhood. We had no seat belts. There was no child seats. My youngest brother would sit up in the front seat between my parents in the convertible, but nothing holding him in his whole life.
Like that shoe sizer machine that they used to have at a shoe store. It was like a big radioactive X-ray machine, and you put your foot in it, so look at what size it was or something.
Yeah.
They take those away.
And
And
they
the
have
radio
playground
goes.
equipment too.
Oh, yeah, playground equipment.
Oh, God, playground, I'm like kids these days.
Yes.
Metal slides and merry-go-rounds and everything.
So yeah, they're presenting the options for an advertisement, a test, to find your true desire or love, or to find the true will of the individual, temptation. What could be some divination interpretations? I hope Bailey's okay. Did she leave?
No, she just stops here.
Oh.
So maybe bring a phone call, or maybe she.
That's fine. Yeah.
Well, I think we talked about some of the divination actually already, which is like, you're striving after the wrong things, you're getting distracted off your true purpose, like all this delivery stuff over here, or chasing the wrong success.
Good. That's practical too. That's a practical application.
The other one is beware of advertising.
Beware of advertising. Beware of smoke screens. Beware of the jinn. Beware of others' realities. To the jinn, that's the jinn's reality. That's the jinn's reality. You're fine. We just want to know you're going to be okay. Okay. Yeah, that's the jinn's reality. But that's not the reality of the person on the earth. What other divination?
Many of your desires are creating a storm because those it looks like gray clouds. It almost feels like the cloud is coming through from one side of the card and heading out to the other side of the card. It's just passing by. And maybe something with the shadow self.
Mm-hmm.
That any of those desires that are before you may not be too, or maybe something you're trying to fill for yourself.
Yeah. How about impermanence? A little bit of Buddhism. Impermanence. All those things kind of look permanent. Like it's like, ooh, well, you could have this castle. You could have this gold. Impermanence.
I would say also that the sort of like desire for all those things keeps you sort of chained in a way, like chained to the things you need to do to get those things at the expense of other more spiritual pursuits.
Yes. Very good. That was something I wrote down too. A distraction from the spiritual path.
It looks very biblical to me, like a very definitive, you're going to be tested, and you might want to be aware that whatever's coming next is a test.
Good.
Do you know the blue dragon symbol? What is it?
Good question. What do you think? she's got a cool.
Yeah, hers, the colors are different.
Yeah.
They're the same visual, but the colors are.
That guy did a cool color scheme on that deck.
Yeah, they're kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a very cool deck. Well, let's think about dragons. What are they? Ancient. Do we know if they were real or not? Okay. Well. Well,
They were Game of Thrones. They were real there.
they could be imaginative. You know, maybe it represents look out for our overshooting imagination. You know, our imagination can kind of create an illusionary success. Like, oh, that person definitely loves me. And it's like, that person doesn't really love you. They're just nice to you. We made Mitch laugh so hard he dropped his cards.
I think dragons in particular, particularly with the idea of their order, very much a symbol of greed.
Mm.
And also there's the Chinese zodiac. Every other animal in there is a normal everyday animal, and then there's a dragon. You can imply someday, so at some point somebody saw a dragon.
Yeah. That is one cool thing about dragons. They across all cultures, except in ancient American, they might have been an ancient American like Aztec and Mayan. And I don't know either.
Winged serpent, I think. The feathery winged serpent. But I'm not sure if that's a dragon. I'm pretty sure they had a winged serpent in their symbology.
Aren't all birds dinosaurs?
Yeah, it's possible they were dinosaurs. That they were dinosaurs that still existed and then died off. They're a depiction of some sort of, like you said, birds are descended from a kind of dinosaur.
Well, we can definitively say that on the Euro-Asian continent thousands of years ago, dragons existed cross-culturally. That we can definitively say. Boom. But African and ancient American civilizations, it's kind of iffy. But for sure, Euro-Asian civilization dragons were cross-culturally represented or recognized. So we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I think there's a, depending on what color the dragon was, for the Chinese, it meant something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what they are, I just know that that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I have
Go ahead.
They still exist, like the Komodo dragon.
Yeah,
exists.
Yeah.
I could see
They
why.
don't fly though.
Yeah.
How long do they live?
I don't know.
They live like a really long time, don't they?
Yeah.
They live like hundreds of years or something.
I think so.
Yeah, Komodo dragons. They're endangered too, and they only live on a little island.
Does that not go up?
I think
No.
so. Yeah. If there's
Some of the Galapagos Islands. I was just thinking about dragons. I was reading somewhere about frankincense, and it comes from like this tree, Australia tree or something, and there was a, can't remember who, but I think it was a historian or someone wrote that it was guarded by flying snakes, as if it was maybe it was supposed to be a deterrent from people going to get this frankincense from the tree or whatever. But I always think about that. I mean, what is that supposed to mean? Flying snakes. They're guarding a tree. How is that even a deterrent? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that is the thing though, snakes can like jump from trees.
Yeah, it could
They
have
can
been.
catch air.
Might not have been flying with wings, but it
Right.
could have been flying. Yeah.
Right, was he talking about an actual snake? I don't know. I just think about it a lot.
The visuals on that are pretty nuts, Mitch.
No. I kind of wish I could run into one, but maybe not. Like a small one hanging from a tree and like fly.
Well,
But not like that. Not like I want my holy covered guardian angel to present that to me in some tempting way.
I know on meditation stuff connected with some dragons. Yeah. So big dragons, flying dragons. Some are like down in the earth. Down there, energies down there. Some and It's one of my first like spirit animals I connected with. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I think we hit it on the head, guys. Let's try to get through these next two in like a half hour so we can, people that want to leave at 9, they can leave. All right? So 7 of Swords, unstable effort. Moon in Aquarius.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Oh boy.
I have 2 7 cards.
Oh boy. Moon in Aquarius.
What is unstable effort?
Unstable effort. So it represents patterns of intellectual and emotional instability, causing the need for many friends and creating change. So it's like, well, you're my friend now, but you're not my friend tomorrow. Now I'm going to go hang out with Dan. Then I'm going to go hang out with Bill. But wait, Dan. So usually people that have Moon in Aquarius have a lot of friends. Okay?
I don't think I have that.
You never know. You've got 9 right here. Or 8.
True. I think I have more friends. No, I'm not gonna use that.
That's all right. That's all right. So in Moon in Aquarius, the mind becomes a dominant force over emotion. The mind becomes a dominant force over emotion with Moon in Aquarius. The Moon is very emotional. It's water. And when Aquarius is in the Moon, the intellectual aspects of Aquarius overpower it. Back emotion, back. I'm gonna think. So, kind of creates turbulence and moral dilemma. You want to say something, Mitch?
Oh no, I'm just thinking of these in order, progression. I feel like this 7 of Swords would come after, I don't know, the 7 of Wands. I feel like after you try to, maybe they try to fight something off, but then maybe they get something from it, like end up conceding to it, but they feel, conflicted about this.
Oh, good.
Which relates to 7 of Cups.
Good. Bringing it all together. Good.
When you say turbulence and moral dilemma, I think of like the term cognitive dissonance too.
Mm.
Kind of like at war with yourself.
Yeah. Cognitive dissonance. Psychology. Perfect. So Moon in Aquarius has the ability to play many sides and having many faces or tasks. So Moon in Aquarius is really good at playing all the sides. I'm going to hang out in this guy's camp, and I'm going to go hang out in this other camp. Sorry, Gracie.
That's alright. So me.
So you? They like to jump around is basically what we're going to get at. So these aren't bad things. This is just the way that the planets align and the stars align.
It does feel kind of validating.
It's all right.
That's where that comes from.
It's okay. Here's one thing. Perverse intellectual stimulation via emotional play. Sometimes they will play at people's emotions for intellectual satisfaction. Be like, ha, Kate, I made her cry today, and it made me intellectually sound because she took my teddy bear when I was 5.
How did you prove that?
Yeah, this is kind of a mouthful. Yeah, my astrology interpretations are a mouthful. perverse intellectual stimulation via emotional play. So they get satisfied intellectually through messing with people's feelings sometimes. That's like one of the downsides of this combination. So knowing the interpretation, sorry, Gracie. Knowing the interpretation of this, what is happening in the card? Think about what we just talked about. Yeah. What does it look like in the card?
He's sneaking off with these things.
Mhm.
Swords. Kind of to get attention or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And when we take things, are we thinking about others' feelings? No.
Unless we intentionally want to hurt them.
Right. There's that perverse intellectual, you know, poke you in your side. Yes. An attempt to be two-faced or double-sided. So maybe this person's from that camp, but they're also on the other camp too. And they're kind of playing both sides of the coin, maybe. Sneaking around, being deceptive to his own side, trying to create a victory, but only for himself. People that play two sides, it kind of always seems like they're trying to just be the winner, right? You ever experience somebody at work where you tell them something, you're like, don't tell the boss, right? You're like, hey, Amy, it sucks that the bathroom's down. I think we have a horrible boss. Don't tell him I said that. And Amy's like, I'm going to tell the boss. So Amy's playing two sides. Not that she would do that. It's just an example. Sorry, I hate putting people on the spot like that. Practical application, Mitch. Be careful what you tell people. Be careful what you tell people. Practical application. Moon in Aquarius. We're really having some fun today.
Should have told you guys.
Watch the next one be what's yours too.
No, I gotta go back. Line it up.
These are just my interpretations. This is not all, like, we could write a whole book on astrology interpretations. Maybe we will one day.
Yeah.
Maybe we will one day. Astrology is a lot of fun. Okay, so what else do you guys think is happening in the card?
It reminds me of the Five of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's carrying more than he already can, but like he's looking back at the other two, like I would carry those two if I could.
Yeah. Carrying more than they can handle. Definitely. It is so similar to the 5. Wow. And 5 is also one of those you can't break down.
Yes, the sense of that somebody else is preparing for something and then they're taking it so that they won't be ready for whatever's coming.
Good. Unstable effort.
Maybe like reaping the benefits of someone else's hard work.
Yep, those are all unstable efforts.
I'm also kind of drawn on how the guys are holding swords. So it's kind of like holding it at the sharp part, you know. It doesn't seem very smart.
Oh, good point. That is an unstable effort. You're going to get cut up.
It seems almost quick. Two-sided sword.
Damn, that's a really good. I'm actually going to write that down.
He has a lack of planning for whatever he's up to. He just saw these swords and didn't really think about how he's going to transport them.
Oh gosh, I love that. Those are all unstable efforts.
I saw this. Do you know who Larry David is? The comedian who did Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld. I saw him interviewed once, and he said some of the best advice he ever got was take 2 trips. And I was thinking about that whenever I'm trying to get groceries out of the car, and you know if you carry too many, the bags break. And I always say take 2 trips, and it sort of means also like slow down and kind of think about what you're doing. Like don't try to hurry the facile solution. You know, like take your time and take 2 trips.
Definitely.
If you don't, you always have, catastrophe if you're not mindful.
Definitely. And 2 trips requires planning.
Right.
This doesn't look like a very planned or thought out
No.
adventure or extravaganza. It kind of almost seems like spur of the moment. And the person's running with swords by the blades in their hand.
A plan that may fail.
Yeah.
It says in the pictorial key.
Good.
A plan that may fail.
Yeah, let's move to divination. I mean, this card's pretty self-explanatory. All these cards are pretty self-explanatory. So, a plan that may fail. Good. A faulty plan. What else?
Having too much on your plate that you're not prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Good.
Too many irons in the fire. That's kind of what you're saying too. That too much going on, not focused.
Good.
And also the direction is towards the past, so some of these thoughts might be about past stuff, heading backwards instead of going forwards with things. In the wrong direction.
Yeah, he is looking in the opposite direction from where he's running. That's kind of not so smart.
Yeah. Maybe his mind, he knows he should be going this way. But yeah, thoughts, I don't know how you can interpret it too.
Yeah. How about not thinking of emotional outcomes causing the faulty plan? So this is an intellectually dominant card, and when people steal stuff or sneak around others, they're thinking about their own self. They're not thinking about the emotional aspects of the person they're taking from.
I would say maybe for divination too, it's like stop and consider what you're doing and what the repercussions may be.
Yup. Good.
Yeah, I really like that he's looking the other direction, like you said over there. Because it isn't going to take too long until he trips or falls because he isn't looking.
Carry a bunch of sharp objects. Run it with scissors.
Somebody has about that, take 2 trips, you are far more likely to get caught coming back.
Exactly. It's true.
All right. Good job, guys. What else? Anything else? Sorry, Gracie. At least these cards are in the Venus. Yeah, let's look at the bright side. Yeah.
And neither foot's solid on the ground, so it's kind of like up on the tippy toes, tiptoe around.
Yeah, sneaking around.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. What's your Saturn?
I don't know. Just looking at the chart. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to be safe before we proceeded. Just didn't want this to be like a roast on your astrology chart. Okay, so this card is success not attained or unfulfilled. The Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles. Let's be clear, we're moving on. 7 of Pentacles. Success unfulfilled or not attained. And it's Saturn and Taurus. I hope that's not your Saturn. So, Saturn and Taurus. Work is a priority, creating overcommitment. Focus on Saturn and Taurus is focus on material gain, but inability to accomplish trajectory, spoiling the accomplishment. So if you overtend something in nature, if you over fertilize it, you spoil it. If you overwater it, you spoil it. Our computer died on us. Forgot to plug it in. Okay. That would have been really bad. Sad.
Focus on material gain for what?
Oh, sure. Focus on material gain, but inability to accomplish the projection or the trajectory because you're too focused on it. You over fertilized it. You over watered it. You rotted its roots. If you're too focused on something, you don't give it time to grow, whether it be work, a tree you planted in your backyard. If you put too much fertilizer on it, it's going to die. Or if you over focus on, what else is something you can over focus on? School. If you overthink concepts at school, it will spoil it. Practical application. Okay. So Saturn and Taurus could be a showy elegance, perceived possibly as gaudy. Okay. And number 4, focus on earthly matters with the ability to lead, but leadership could lead to a void. You don't want to lead people to a void. Practical application. Watch your leader. Always check the leader. Always, just like politics. Politics are always having its checks and well. No and yes. No and yes. We would like to think there's checks and balances, but it doesn't always work. Which is why we get people out of there. That leadership is leading. Yeah. That leadership's leading us to a void. Get out of here. That's a void. Watch your leader. Practical application. Watch the leader. Don't over fertilize. Okay. What is associated, or why is it associated with success unfulfilled? Let's look at the art. What is success unfulfilled here?
Putting your mind and time towards wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
Towards wrong stuff.
What is unfulfilling about this? What is not achieved or attained?
It almost reminds me that money doesn't grow on trees that same, and then the money's on the trees around them. What is that? Are we looking at the picture and just, what is the question?
How does the success unfulfilled or not attained pertain to the image?
It's like he didn't get the harvest that he wanted.
Good, that's exactly what we're talking about.
It is really verdant. It's very green and lush. So maybe he just doesn't. He's not experiencing the success that's there because he's discontented.
Yeah, there is discontent. Good. What else?
Almost feels like he doesn't know what to do with it too.
Mm-hmm.
And his outfit looks like a little worn. He looks.
Go ahead.
Am I supposed to draw his hands? I noticed his hands. the way they're resting on top of it. And I almost feel like there was some sort of, it reminded me of not a spiral, but kind of a picture of a whirlpool where it's black, and then a ring, and then a ring, and then like that is coming from his hands, like he's regretting. Oh, this is all I could do with my hands. Or something. It was just a negative remorse. But also contemplative. I don't know, he's not totally distraught from beside himself. No, I guess I can deal with this. I like everything I grew, but
What if he is a farmer and he took a loan from the bank and he didn't grow enough to pay back the loan? Is that a success unfulfilled? Yeah, that would be. So that lines up with discontent, unsatisfied, remorse. He put all of his eggs in one basket. Good. Money doesn't grow on trees. He took the money from somebody else.
Makes me think of like a scientist who's trying to genetically modify a plant, and they were going for something specific for a reason, and they got something else entirely.
Yep. Could possibly be mismanagement. There is a harvest, but it may have not been as bountiful as intended. He overtended the goal, which led to spoiling the end product. Sometimes in gardening, when I was still doing a lot of gardening, I would plant something really lush and really beautiful, and I would come back like 2 weeks later to go work for the client, and it would be like, I'd be like, what did you do? I watered it 3 times a day. You rotted it out. You rotted it out. You overtended it. Yeah. You focus too much on it. You gotta let it be. All right. Divination. We're almost done. Divination. We already kind of went over it all. Taking pause to observe progress and plan the next steps. Anxiety over a loan or money. Loss of pleasure. Disappointment in achievements. Spoiled harvest. Misguided fortune. What do you guys think? Anybody want to attest to that? Disagree with that? Have something they want to add with that?
I've experienced that, and that's what I could say.
Huh?
I've experienced that in my life for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Will you read through those again?
Yes. Taking pause to observe progress and plan the next steps. So if you get this in a reading and it's in work position or a present position or a future position, you could say you need to take some time, kind of observe what's happening, plan your next steps. It could represent anxiety over a loan or money, loss of pleasure or disappointment in your achievements, an over-attentiveness to work. If you get it in a reading, I mean, he's like dead focused on his job. Somebody's spending too much time in work. Say it gets in a family position. You know, you're doing some type of spread, and it's in the family spot. It's like, oh, you're spending way too much time on work. You need to focus on your family. Spoiled harvest, misguided fortune, loss of pleasure, and or disappointment. So, what do we think about that, guys?
Yeah, I would also think maybe that's something that's coming from the person's past since he's looking backwards a little bit towards things, so it might not be that person's future, so maybe whatever card comes forward, it's kind of in that middle spot though.
Yeah, very stagnant. There's no motion to this. Taking pause, there we go. He's kind of taking a pause.
It's interesting because the card you have here, some of the leaves are brown, but on mine, they're really lush and green.
Oh,
So to me, this card is more about seeing the beauty in what's achieved rather than finding fault with what you didn't achieve. I think, you know, I know in my life I have a tendency to always see what I didn't accomplish instead of what I did accomplish, which sets you up for a life of discontent.
right.
So it's trying to sort of see instead, you know, more the reality of what's there rather than what your own mindset would suggest you jump to, if that makes any sense.
That's kind of how I see the card, because it's like he's pulled one of the pentacles off the bush, and he's kind of open about it, but the other 6 are still sitting there, undisturbed. It's like he's underestimating his success.
That's good.
He's like a glass half empty kind of guy.
Yeah.
Pessimistic perspective.
Yeah.
And I might throw in there too, because of him wearing the color orange, and that's kind of like reminds me of creativity, for orange is symbolic kind of for me, and what's a chakra in relation with that, and also with him wearing blue, with it being water and the flow, so the flow of creativity, and he has one orange foot, or orange boot here, and one red, so it might relate to the root chakra and the creativity, one foot on and what it's more specifically related with. That would be depending if that's how it's going to affect them.
His stance is very like sturdy and kind of like stuck, so maybe it's like a lack of flow and creativity.
All right. Anybody have anything they want to say? Any last words?
Last word is that he's wearing a white collar, and so it might be underneath a white shirt, so maybe his intentions were pure.
That's interesting.
Yep. Same thing with taking a loan. Pure intention. All right. Is that the last word?
That's the last word.
Okay. That's all she wrote then. All right. We're going to break. Those of you that want to stay, you may. If you want to go, you may go. Or you can go anytime. It's just this is usually the time we do that. 9 o'clock.
I'll see you guys later this summer.
Oh.
I don't know when, but I'll be back.
Great.